the record as we talk about. Boy, I'm amazed, Mike. I want to give you an amen to just about everything you said, because I've had a problem with the North Village Special Service District for a couple of years, and I've voiced it, and we've argued about it a few times, the council and I.
Well, I think you got to recognize that if that was approved prior to any of us being on the council,
That's true. I mean,
and that was kind of geared to the bonding that had to be done in order to pay for the improvements that went in there, the sewer, the water, and things.
but I think that development has been improved greatly in excess of what was necessary to help offset the cost to provide those services for the college. And well, Mike Holder was commissioner at the time, and he's told me that it was never the intention of the commission, in his mind, to have North Village go across into the North Field. That was some type of mistake was made, and it was reported.
Yeah.
And so, but that's the problem.
That was on that one parcel.
I was there.
And that was done.
It's significant. But you're right, it happened before any of us were on council.
So, Doug, what can we do at this point? How can we reduce North Village? Is there a way to do that? I mean, we got the connections with sewer and water that have been improved and things like that, but maybe we can take a look at it and see where we can reduce it.
You know, with a vested project, I don't know how you do other than voluntarily from the developer. The only other way would be with projects that haven't received any approvals, that we lower the densities in the code now, which I think we're trying to do. But vested projects, you know, unless the developer wants to cut down on his density.
Most of the company want to really increase.
Yeah.
So I think we need to stop the increased bonuses, number one, because they're vested at a certain point. No more increased bonuses.
Yeah.
It's extremely dense as it is.
What's-
We'll reduce it where we can.
What's going to stop? I mean, we're taking it, we're adding 480 units, which is taking it up to 5778. And I am completely with Mike on this, that it's way too much density. I really worry about what this is going to look like in 40 years, or shorter. What's going to stop the developer from, in 3 years, coming back and saying, well, I've got a vested right for that extra 480 units, and I'm going to convert some of it back into apartments or whatever? And I get what you're saying, that maybe we're not adding it now, but in 3 years, when none of us remember this conversation, we're coming back here going, oh, we're stuck with it now because they've already vested for 5778. They're going to put in 4 apartments for every one ERU, and we get right back up. I mean, I know what you're saying, that we're not really giving more density, but 3 years from now, when there's a different council, or that doesn't remember this conversation, they come back and say, hey, we got 5778, you got to give it to us. We've got that as a vested right, and we want to go ahead and put that in apartments.
I think we need to clarify, we're talking ERUs and the difference between ERUs and units.
Yeah.
Well, and the applicant's more than willing to enter in a development agreement limiting that unit number, not ERU number, the unit number. Because if you do an ERU number, then that could essentially grow.
Yeah, I don't understand why apartments aren't included as one ERU, and I don't get the breakdown there. I mean, I can see maybe a hotel, but the others I don't.
Well, it initially started as an impact on sewer and water, equivalent residential units, so it was all calculated based on impacts to sewer and water. I struggle with it as well. It'd be easier just to say 1 for 1.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. I know some apartments that are 700 square feet with 5 people living in them, and so they're impacting the sewer just as much as a single family home.
Yeah.
And that's becoming more the norm in this valley than not.
Mike, if you have something to add to this conversation.
If I could just make a few comments, maybe. Councilman, my name is Mike Bradshaw. I represent the developer. I appreciate the opportunity to just say a few things. I know it sounds like an awful lot of doom and gloom, but we've been an open book. We've tried to be upfront all the way along, and so that's the reason why we brought this in here. I think what Doug was trying to demonstrate today is that we're not asking for an increase in the number of units. what we're asking for is to solidify those as units, and then we're asking to shift 700 of those from the North Village up to the upper property, which we think achieves what some people would like to see is the North Village be a little bit less dense. So we took that as one way we could do that. Overall, this development is less than a unit per acre. In fact, it breaks down to like 0.75 units per acre overall. So, and in fact, if I were to come in here and not do a master plan and get a development agreement and just simply come in here and come in one phase at a time over the next 40 years, the minimum density allowed by the code would give me 6,970. So that's almost 1,200 units more than what I'm asking for. If I were to ask for bonus density and do some things according to the bonus density, I could get a max of 10,671 units according to the code. So when you're asking a developer to come in and ask for less, I'm asking for less than what your code allows. So, I mean, I know it sounds big, but it does cover over almost 9,000 acres. And so, again, I don't think what we're asking for is trying to go above and beyond or ask for more that's not there. I think we're asking for less.
So two things real quick. Thank you very much for wanting to move the 700. That would help the North Village. Number two, it'd be nice to spread them out a little bit, your units. Instead of trying to put 10 on 1 acre, it just looks extremely dense. It'd be nice to have 1 home per acre throughout the 9,000 acres.
Actually, the interesting thing is when you take those 700 and you move it to the upper, because the upper, we're following the JVOZ guidelines, which does actually spread them out, Mike. So it took areas that were really probably maybe even up to 22 units to the acre in the North Village and took those down into 2 to 4 units to the acre when spread over up top. So it really converted probably attached units to single-family detached units in the end of the day by moving those 700 units. We've essentially moved all the North Village area that we have there to really single-family detached. And then the upper, there's some areas like Doug says that we have that we could do some attached units in, but they're kind of clustered around a village area where we think it's appropriately to cluster those up. But again, because in our case we're land rich, you know, your typical 10 unit to the acre project that you might typically see a developer would do on our development, because we do have so much land, probably looks more like 4 to 6 units to the acre because we have so much land we can play with to spread those out. Does that make sense?
Now, so as far as your little cluster and resort area, as long as it's not 10 apartment buildings just built and packed right in there, it'd be nice if it was kind of a resort feel or condos or something kind of higher end or classy looking rather than just a bunch of apartments stacked in one corner.
We certainly want it to be quality. We don't want it to be, you know, just, you know, run of the mill, if you will. And I know you probably heard every developer come in here and say that, but that's the reason why we've committed to do it according to the North Village guidelines. You know, we've spent a lot of time and effort trying to work with the planning staff and consultants and even the council. I know you've reviewed that to really come up with a set of design guidelines in there that the county can be proud of that housing type. What we do know is we want a mix of housing types. We want housing types for a wide demographic of residents, including being able to meet the affordable housing requirements. We believe that the county at times has struggled trying to figure out how to appropriately meet the affordable housing requirements that there are. Again, because we're land rich, if you will, we believe we can mix those affordable housing in the fabric of the development, so it's not just 800 apartments stuck right over here and becomes whatever the numerous problems that people consider to be a problem with that. So we've spread those units integrated into the fabric of the development. What we believe when we went through, and one of the biggest reasons we decided to do this is because as we looked at Wasatch County, Heber Valley, we felt like, you know, it's kind of you've got a lot of kind of infill projects in and around the city of Heber. You've got the high-end golf course community projects, but none of the true master plan community projects, which gives which gives opportunities for parks, trails, churches, and schools integrated into a fabric of a neighborhood that all works together rather than just being spotty infill projects. That's the beauty of being able to have a big piece of dirt like this, to be able to master plan that so it all works together and rolls together. And so that's the reason why.
I think that's what we're hoping to see too. And when you drive out of town, you see these 5 or 6 huge apartment buildings just packed right there. You know, we're kind of losing a little bit of faith and hope in some of the developers that they will do something a little bit different. So,
Yeah.
master plan like you've got comes true like that, that would be a plus. So.
Again, I think, had it been us doing those apartments, I think it would have been different, just because we have more land to play with. I realize there's challenges, I don't disagree with you, Mike, and I feel similar to you do in the North Village, and I've been here from the beginning, from the birth in the North Village. So I don't disagree with you that there may be some other things that could have been done, challenging, but done there. And truthfully, I don't think you're going to see a whole, I know there's a lot planned there, but to be honest with you, I don't think the market's going to support that whole thing just being a bunch of high-rise building and apartments. I just don't think that will happen. These traffic numbers I know are daunting, but I do think they also present, I'll put a positive spin on them. Two positive spins. Number one, most of that traffic issue that's going to have to be dealt with is frankly, they're on UDOT roads. They're the roads and the intersections that are going to be failing, and they're the ones that will deal with upgrading those. And frankly, they're going to have to do that regardless of whether it's us or someone else. That's minor. A big part of the North Village when it was visioned was the commercial component. And I know we've kind of gone up and down in discussions of whether that was really going to happen or not. But if we really do achieve these kind of traffic numbers, we will see the commercial and those kind of uses in the North Village.
There will be a gas station in the North Field.
What's that?
There will be a gas station in the North Field.
Yeah, well, we, again, one of the biggest...
It's not your fault.
Yeah.
That's the reality.
I think a lot of the North Fields hopefully will remain to continue to be preserved. And that was, again, going back to what Steve talked about. That was one of the biggest reasons for approving the North Village on the other side of the road, was to try and keep that ability. And I know you guys have challenges to wrestle with that. I think one of the biggest things that I wanted to come here and ask the council and I guess wrestle with the council is, I think we try to be an open book. We try to lay it out for you. I think the council, even the previous councils, have done the best they could with the information they were given. And it's never a perfect process. We can always be the Monday morning quarterback and look back and say, wow, we really should have done that differently. And I think we're all doing that a little bit on some of those things. And that will always be done. Even the decisions you make will be looked back and say, man, why in the world were they thinking? It's easy to do that after the fact. But I think what we want to know is I think you're at a crux here again of an opportunity. This is a big project. Is it taxing on the county? I'm not going to disillusion you. Yes. Does it require municipal services? Yes. Years ago, the county decided they were going to get in the municipal service game, and that's what you've done. But I think you have an opportunity here specifically to decide, yes, we either want to continue and move forward that way, or we do not. And so I don't want to be here and just be the guy who's against the county, because that's not what we're about. We've developed relationships with communities and try to be a big part of the community. That's the reason why we've talked about donating the school sites and donating the acres to benefit the parks and those kind of things. And we're supportive of those kind of moves. But we certainly understand if the county basically says, look, Mike, this is too much for us, we don't want you, then I guess we get it. We understand. And so, yes.
On that, in the spirit of being an open book.
Yeah.
If we were to deny this today,
Well, first of all, you don't have to prove this today. It's not a...
but if we did
Yeah.
later down the road, would you then approach Heber City about annexation?
I have not to date approached Hber City about annexation, but I will tell you that they have expressed interest in us wanting to be in Heber City. And I've been asked.
Excuse me, was that the council or was that the manager?
Well, I don't want to get anybody specifically in trouble, but we've just been asked. It came up in a council meeting several months ago, whether the North Village was, you know, a possibility to annex in, and then there were several discussions that happened spinning off of that. And I told Mike Davis, I sat down with Steve Farrell and I told him, I said, look, we've been here from the beginning. We've been supportive. When other developers have sued the county, we've stuck it out. We've been here. And we plan on continuing to do that. We're supportive of the county and its efforts. But I don't want an adversarial working relationship. Do you know what I'm
No, I
saying?
understand.
I don't want to come in and I don't want to be the guy that you hate to see when he comes in. I just don't think that's fair to anybody, and I don't think that accomplishes anything. If the county were to deny this, would we continue and look to the city? I would say we'd have no other option but to do that. We've spent already a significant amount of money in getting utilities and putting in those services there so that this property can be developed. We've never been, you know, not said that we would never develop this property. What we have said is we want to provide a lot of open space, and I think we've demonstrated that in our plan. We want to work with the county, and we want to work with your planning staff, Mike have been great. The district has been great to work with over the years, and we've accomplished a lot to date. But I mean, I think it's in your hands. But we want a partnership relationship, not an adversarial relationship. Does that make sense?
It sounds like you said if we say no, you'll go to you.
I don't think I'd have any other option.
That's fair.
Right.
Thank you.
Is that fair?
No, thank you.
So, but anyway, again, we're here. We're committed to be here. We've given Mike our draft development agreement for this project to merge the two together. And, you know, we're supportive of what the county's doing. We want to continue to do that. So, Steve, I think that's all I have, unless you had any other questions for me.
Question for Mike? Thank you, Mike.
You bet.
Doug, did you get the information you wanted? Or the answers you were looking for?
Well, I think it's more for Mike, but if I'm going to move this forward, then I want to get it on the Planning Commission agenda. I want to have the geotechnical reviews done and more traffic analysis done. And what I'm hearing from Mike is if we don't want to provide those services and go down that road, then we might as well not deal with it now.
So just a thought on that, we've already vested, and it seems like you've been good to work with in the past. I said we continue to work with it to try to develop. You're not going to flip this, right?
Yeah, that's not what we are.
Okay. If we're working with the end user, that's going to be really helpful on what kind of product we're going to get. Just one interesting thought here. Cache Valley and Heber Valley are very similar. But in Cache Valley, in the county, the minimum is 20 acres for one home for 20 acres. And if you want to go and annex into the city, they just don't do it. Here we have a city that would probably gladly do it because they want the money. They don't care what the density is. And so you probably could take it to the city and you get the density that you want that way.
If not more.
So that's what I'm saying. Let's continue to work together since you already are vested. Let's come up with a really good project that can be a jewel rather than just a whole bunch of apartments all the way along it. It's a mess. So,
Spencer, you get any thoughts on it?
I mean, I know he's invested at it. We can't turn it down for what they've already been invested for.
Right.
So, I'm still concerned about the 480 and how that works. I like the idea of moving the 700 up. I still have reservations about the 480 and I need to wrap my head around that a little more.
I think the problem is we're talking two different numbers.
I know we are.
ERUs and units.
And it feels, I think Mike's taken a beating in this meeting, and it's not anything he's done. It's.
I'm used to it, don't worry.
Some of us
Hey,
get.
I've been in much worse than this.
I get that. Some of us get in this job and think we're going to make a difference, and we just find out that, hey, things have been promised that most things we don't have a control over anymore. But I think we're still going to get blamed for them. And that's not against you, it's against a bunch of things in this proposal or county, and I'm done.
You're welcome to come.
Yeah.
You've got 3 more years yet.
Danny?
And I'll get blamed for the next 2 years too.
I'd like to sit down with Mr. Bradshaw and maybe sharpen our pencils to see if we can bring the number down. Through some negotiation. I don't know that Heber would do it. I know that Heber City manager would be in favor of it. I don't know the will of the council. Of course, that could change to the election this year. But I sure hate to make my decisions based on what Heber City might do. However, we should consider the potential that they may annex and get even greater density than what we accomplished. So that's where I'm at, Mr. Bradshaw.
Okay, Councilman, I'll make a promise to you, okay? We're not going to go to Heber City and ask for more density, okay? I'm not here to tear, in fact, I don't understand why the county and the city can't work more together. That's my honest
Amen,
opinion.
brother.
Okay, I wish there could be a way that they could work more together. I'm not here to tear them apart. I don't want to be the person to tear that apart. So even if you guys were to say no, I wouldn't run to Heber and ask for more density. I'm telling you that. We like our project. The land is beautiful. We want to try to do the right thing for the land, and we believe what we're planning is the right thing. So if the county said no, I wouldn't do anything different than what I'm planning to do.
Right, but, I mean, you have to do what's in the best interest of the people you represent. And as you said earlier, if we did say no for some reason, you wouldn't have a choice, but you would have to go to Heber. And so, I'm hopeful that maybe we can...
Or wait till the council changes again. Right. I still have 3 or 4 plots before I even get to most of this.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Councilman Nelson.
Like Spencer, I'm trying to wrap my head around this project. It's so huge, and part of my process in doing that is I'm not convinced that those extra units wouldn't be better off down along Highway 32 rather than up in the beautiful mountaintops. That's part of the understanding that I'm trying to understand. But undecided, understanding.
I'm kind of on the same page as Councilman Peterson. I think there is the vesting already up there. We need to work with it and make it the best project possible and move forward.
Part of my reason today for talking with you was, and you know, doom and gloom, yes. I wanted you to go in with eyes wide open and know what you're getting into. I think that's been part of the problem in the past, is maybe it wasn't explained as well as it should have been, but that's why I put the units to numbers and the population at 18,000, so you guys knew exactly what's going on here.
Thank you, Doug. Let's go to